Hey, in this lesson, we're gonna learn the disarms for level 1. So, there's only 2, and they're pretty simple, and they come from a lot of different positions, but I'm really gonna show you a few places, and I want you to play around with them. So the first one, I have a few names that I'll call this. Sometimes it's called a smash disarm, sometimes I call it a percussion, or just a cut, right? Defanging the snake, whatever you wanna call it. Essentially, I'm just gonna hit her hand or arm while she's swinging at me. Now, obviously we're using pads and she has gloves on, so the weapon isn't gonna go flying out of her hand. But if we had no pads, right, if we were just using a stick or especially a sword, machete, whatever, and no gloves, and I hit her hand and broke her hand, she's gonna have trouble holding onto the weapon, right? And especially swinging again, even if it doesn't go flying out of her hands. So she's gonna throw an angle 1, and I'm just gonna go 3. She's gonna throw an angle 2, and I'm just gonna hit the hand. So here, here. I like to go horizontal whenever they start going diagonal. If she goes horizontal, I could go diagonal and hit that down as well, right? It all depends on what the goal of the person attacking is as well. If she's swinging at my hands, I'm not gonna be able to hit her hands. But if she's trying to hit me in the head, then I'm gonna be able to hit her hands, okay? So be aware of that as well. If you're both just kind of hand hunting, it's a little bit harder when you're both just trying to hit the hands. But if she's trying to hit my head and I just move back and crack her arms, chances are she's gonna end up dropping the weapon. Now you also have to worry about the projectile aspect of this. Right? If you can, ideally move to the outside of the swing. So what that means is if she's going, actually come over here. If she's throwing an angle 1, her weapon is going this direction, and I wanna come off to the side. That way, if her hand does just release, it goes flying over here, instead of me going here, and then it goes flying right towards my face. So that's something I wanna try to avoid. Same thing if she throws an angle 2, I wanna move offline this way, so that it moves out. And I could move back with it as well. I don't actually have to move directly to the side. I just don't want to move this way and her release the weapon and it just goes flying right into my face. So be aware of that. Weapons will go flying whenever they're swinging really hard and you just crack into their hands. So that's the first type of disarm. Our second one is called a grab and smash. Can you guess what that is? Probably. So she's gonna do this with just a angle 7 straight thrust. I'm gonna use a low wing. I'm going to grab and smash, right? I'm letting her hold on to it, but if I just ripped right through her hand, she's not gonna be able to hang on very well. So this is one way that that might happen. If you're in close, this could happen. You could grab it from any different way, right? So maybe she threw it here and I grab here and then I smashed, right? However I got a hold of this doesn't matter so much, because some of the times you'll realize when you're sparring, you just don't want to get hit, especially when you're using real sticks, and you'll end up kind of crashing in and grabbing each other's weapons, right? So if you get into that clinch range and you can get a hold of something just with your weapon while you still have it, if they're not controlling it, just smash. Now let's say another scenario of this, we get into this clinch range and she grabs my weapon too, right? So now we both have a hold of each other's weapons. I can do stuff, so I'm grabbing, so what's the next step? Smash. How am I gonna smash this? I could smash that way. I could go towards her and then hit here. I could hit downwards on it. It doesn't overly matter. I can flip over and hit. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. I don't really have any specifics that I want you to practice. I want you to practice the concepts. I want you to play around with your partner and be like, oh, how can I grab a hold of their weapon and how can I smash their hand to make them release it, right? Grab and smash, fairly simple. Same thing with the just regular smash or just cutting their hands or percussion, whatever you want to call it. But go ahead, practice those concepts for disarms. There's all these sort of fancy disarms, but stick with the basics. It works the best. If you want to get fancy later on, you're more than welcome to. But for even more training and techniques, make sure that you check out the Let's Train Martial Arts school community.